please just make sure that you mute yourself and that you mute your microphone, because when people become unmuted, that can be distracted not only to the presenter, but distracting to the learner. So just make sure that you're muted. As I was stating before, Coley will be answering any questions you have. We have a whole question and answer section, pretty much the last 30 minutes, or we stay on for about 30 minutes after the call and answer questions. So if you have questions, just write them down or keep track of them, and we will stay and answer them after this session. If it's anything pressing, just put it in the chat so that Coley can keep track of them, and then he'll ask me those at that time. So let's get started with the learning objectives. The goal for the session is that the learners will be able to understand Technique 46, The Joy Factor, from the book Teach Like a Champion by Doug Lemov. And their second objective is that learners will discover digital resources to use in their elementary math classroom. Before I even get going, I just want to give you an overview so that you can understand what you signed up for and what you'll get in this session. So I'm going to talk about what you're going to see during this presentation, how you're going to be able to use the information, and why it'll work for you. So during this presentation, you're going to be seeing me do a typical Google slide presentation, but throughout there'll be a couple of demonstrations where I'll be doing a demo for you on how to set certain things up. And then also you'll see me click on different websites and links. And because this is supposed to be the Joy Factor, we will be playing a few games. So just to give you a heads up about that. You'll be able to use this presentation because we will share a link at the end for the presentation, and you'll be able to keep this and put it in your toolbox and access it for whenever you might need. And why I know this will work is because, as I said, I have been a teacher, but pretty much a math teacher for the past 8 years. And I've taught middle school and upper elementary. And my son is kindergarten, so I've been getting him ready for school. So I kind of have a little experience with all three areas. So I know that these things will work, and I did try to diversify our presentation to give you things that should work for everyone. Now let's get into the book. Just to give a little background about why I'm even talking about this book. When I'm originally from Wisconsin, but when I did move to Chicago, the first school I worked at had all the teachers read this book, and it literally changed my life. It's a guidebook for any teacher, just to give them. It's just a great reference book. All the information within the book is short, sweet, and to the point. It's not a difficult read. And what Doug Lemov decided to do was document the actions of effective teachers. And then he put that research into 62 techniques that he noticed that most of the teachers were using. So that's why I said Technique 46, because that's the one we're going to talk about today. Also, what I enjoy about this book is there are a lot of videos that accompany the book. So like if you're somebody who's visual, for every single technique, there's a video showing an actual classroom teacher doing the technique. So it's a great book, and it's basically going to structure our whole presentation today. So let's keep going. So what is the Joy Factor? I wish I would have came up with this because my name is Joy, but unfortunately, I did not, but I can still tell you about it. So the Joy Factor is a way to incorporate joy into the classroom, into children's learning. It deals with incorporating fun games and activities to review, and doing little things that make the classroom more memorable and fun and make the students feel welcome. So as a teacher, you probably are already using this in a lot of ways, and you just didn't give it a title. But whenever you see your students smiling because of something you did in your classroom, that's pretty much the Joy Factor. The Joy Factor is put into 5 categories. So the first category is fun and games. The second one is us and them. The third is drama, song, and dance. The fourth is humor. And the fifth is it's 2 S's, so it kind of messed me up. But the fifth is suspense and surprise. So these are the 5 categories that I'm going to talk about today. Now, if you're like me, I've been a teacher for a while, and I've collected so many cool things. Please mute yourself. The train that just went Okay. But if you're like me and you've been a teacher for quite a while, you've probably collected tons of things in your classroom. Like for me, I have board games, I have those file folder games, I have games and baggies. I have tons of like fun things that I had in my classroom. And now I found myself with the virtual learning kind of struggling. Like, what do I do? What do I do next? Like, how am I gonna? I'm just trying to figure out virtual learning is not always fun for me. So how can I make it fun for the students? So my goal is to try to like give you some tips to bring these things into your classroom in a virtual setting. So the first joy factor category is fun and games. It's still someone unmuted. So if you could just mute yourself, please. So anyways, for fun and games, this category is all about making learning and reviewing into a game. So you can create any game that you want as long as it promotes learning and reviewing information the students already know. So now I'm going to show you a few games that I found online, and they're just websites. So you probably know kids love Would You Rather, the game. Like, would you rather have a hot dog or eat beans for the rest of your life? I mean, like, I don't know, kids just love that. But I found this website that was focused around math, and it does break it up by a grade band. So it's K through 2, 3rd through 5th, 6th through 8th, 9th through 12th. For me, I'll just show you just an example of what it looks like. So would you rather have a box of chocolates with 5 rows and 14 columns, or 7 rows and 9 columns? So this is a great website. They have a ton, so many examples. You can differentiate with this because of the grade bands. And usually I just post this picture either on a Google form or in my Google Classroom, or sometimes it's just the first thing that students see. And it's a great way to get the chat going because students can put what they would do. Another thing that I love, and we're going to do now, I talked about it in my previous session, but now we're actually going to do it, is Estimysteries. And typically this was my warm-up activity for the first like 10 minutes of class. And this is a way to get the kids into class on time. And it kind of looks like this. It's an activity where the students have to guess how many items are inside of a cup. And now we're going to do this in the chat. So you can download those into a PowerPoint presentation. And if you want to use Google Slides like I do, you just would download it in your drive. So the first one we're going to do is called Kazoo. So our goal is to guess how many kazoos are in this vase. So before I even give you any clues, in the chat, put your guess. What do you think? How many are in? Okay, I got 32. 56. 39. Who's going to be right? 87. I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's one key thing that I would suggest if you choose to use these is don't know the answer yourself, because the kids just love getting it right and you get it wrong. So I actually don't know the answer to this one. But let's get the first clue. So the first clue that's going to help you out, clue number 1, the answer is a multiple of 8. So I see somebody has 35. That won't work. 28 won't work. So now you can re-guess. So you know it has to be a multiple of 8. And as math teachers, you could just like eat this up. You know all the multiples. So I got 40. Probably for my guess, I think I'm going to agree and go with 72. I don't actually know. Let's do clue 2. The answer does not include the digit 9. So I'm still good with 72. If you want to change your answer now, go for it. And pretty much right now, I'm just modeling like how I do it with my students. For clue number 3, the answer does not include the digit 8. So I still am good with 72. I see somebody has 80. So they're going to have to change that because it doesn't include the digit 8. I see 56. That might be it. I don't know. Clue 4, the answer is not a square number. So that's taking it kind of to a higher level. Now, keep in mind with Estimysteries, they do have it broken down by grade band as well. So like a kindergartner is not going to know a square number. So this one that I picked is for a 5th grader, like 5th grade. So let's find our final reveal. So the answer is there's 70. Oh, I was right. Oh, my lucky day. It was 72 Kazoos within this. Now, usually I do try to have like some kind of system to track who gets it right. And then if they have like 3 in a row right, I might give them a coupon of some sort or some kind of like mini reward, whether it's you can show up 5 minutes late or the teacher will give you answers to one question of your choice, things of that nature, and they just eat it up. Another example is Discovery Puzzle Maker. I've noticed that kids really love word searches. I mean, they just eat these up. And these are all free, and you can just create them yourselves. If you want to make it interactive, there's a tool I'll talk about later called Cami, and you can download that extension, and then the kids can actually like circle on the PDF. And of course, there's always Google search. What I discovered and all these things that I found, I would just type in things like fraction game on a Google search and just put the quotations. And a lot of cool games really come up that I won't even be able to show you today. Now let's get into some games, websites that I would recommend. Kahoot is always a classic. It's a multiple choice game. The students can compete against each other. If you haven't used it, please try it out. With quizzes is exactly like Kahoot. The only difference is you can put students into teams for this website. So for me, I wish I could have done teams in the spring because I didn't know about this, but you can put the students in teams and then they can answer the questions as a team. And then you can also, they can do short answer questions. There's an option for that. For Math Playground, this is a good site because it shows all like games for different grade levels. And typically what I found is that on this website, whenever I do a Google search for a game, a majority of the games would be like hosted on this website. So I just think it's a great site to consider. The Jeopardy Labs, if you're a teacher that enjoys creating Jeopardy boards, they have pre-made Jeopardies that you can just search. And I did try this out in the spring. I was a little nervous, like, would the kids get into this? But they actually like really did. I just randomly selected them, like, what category do you want, how much? And they got into it. They kept track of their points, everything. So I would suggest that. Bingo Baker is pretty fun. I haven't used it yet, but I discovered it this summer. And it's just a tool with multiple online virtual bingo boards. And you can just search for different ones like, I don't know, I just put math just to show you. Some of them are weird because, you know, somebody else created this. So it's not going to be exactly what you need. But when you do click a board, what I like the most is it'll call the numbers for you. So you don't have to worry. It'll send the students the link. Then they all get their own board, and then it'll call the numbers for you. And then it also shows like probability of winning based off of how many players you have. And this is kind of a cool tool just to further extend the math within the game. Math for Love, this site, as its title states, I really do love it. It has really cool activities. They have free lessons for teachers. So they have openers, and for the game and for the openers and games, it is based off of grade band. And then they also have extension activities. So I'm trying, let me show you a game. So even if you wanted to do like a kindergarten activity, they'll sort these activities based off of kindergarten. And some of them, like for instance, you could do this with your students. You just would need to get your Elmo or use your Elmo from your school, and you could still show them this in a live lesson. So I like this site a lot. And then I'm going to do this one last. Minecraft is pretty obvious. It's a great game, and CPS just got a contract with Minecraft. And all students need is their CPS email to log in. Flippity is a website that has a lot of creation games. So like, let's say if you had a board game, you could actually create it yourself and the students can play. So it's a lot of templates that just, all you have to do is plug in your information. They have a name picker, they have a quiz show. I mean, they have matching, they have bingo. So it almost has like word searches. It's like a one-stop shop for everything. And for me, I like to use a tournament bracket just because I guess I'm more competitive than I admit, but I do make the kids compete. And, you know, there's always that one kid that says this wasn't fair. So if you have like a tournament type system, they just don't argue as much. I don't know. And then I'll get into the game spent. This is actually a game that'll teach students empathy along with math skills. When I click this, the music is like really loud. So just prepare yourself. But what you're going to do is every child gets $1,000 and they have to live off, they have to figure out how to live off of $1,000 for 1 month. And budget that money. So it's going to teach them empathy for people of different socioeconomic statuses. It teaches math. So I'm not, it's kind of, so yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. So I'm sorry. I knew it was going to be loud. I just thought it was going to be not as bad. But as you can see on there, it said like find a job or like, so it's kind of like a choose your own adventure as well with which kids really get into. Let's move into our next category, which is us and them. Most classrooms, I mean, you do this in your classroom probably a lot. It's like when you have competitions, like which class is going to have the best attendance, like which class is going to get the most A's. Those are a lot of ways to create that environment. I know for my classroom, some academic things that I used to do that you could still do virtually is I did 100 100s. And the students would compete to see which class got the most 100%. This can be a little tricky because you don't want kids just cheating so that they get 100 and you kind of can't track them. But you can be creative and think of ways to help the classes compete, or just basically what us and them is like an inside joke. It's like you've always been around that group of people and all of a sudden they randomly start laughing about something and you're just like, well, I guess I had to be there. It's like, it's an inside joke. And as a teacher, your goal is to try to create like a community where only the people who are in that class know what's going on. So there's some ways to do it is giving the students nicknames, doing class handshakes, doing celebrations, or as I stated, the friendly competitions between other classes. Here's some examples of, here's some examples of celebrations that I did do virtually. So for a celebration, if you, I'll show you some on the camera, but a celebration is just like a quick way to recognize students who are doing a great job or the whole class. So let's say if everybody shows up to your Google Meet on time, you can say, okay, I'm going to do a roller coaster. So that's like you go 1, 2, 3, they go down, woo, and they'll do it on the camera. You'd be surprised. They like really get into it. And then a round of applause, they'll do that on the camera. You could always do like 2 snaps, like, oh, great answer, 2 snaps. Like they like that, or 2 claps. It's a little harder to do knock it out the park virtually, but we worked it out. So it's like you throw up the ball, you hit the ball with the bat, you look at the ball go, and then you say, woo, it's like a home run. And then they really love the firecrackers. So your 2 hands are together, you shake, and then the firecracker goes up, you clap, and then it's like, woo. I mean, just random things, just because a lot of the students are such a TikTok generation, they like doing stuff on video and like on the camera. So also for me, I did virtual handshakes. The basic handshake, I did this in my regular class, but I really couldn't do, but you can still do like a virtual high five, you know, a pound. You can still do electricity. A circle is where you put the hand and it goes in a circle. So there's a lot of different ways. And then like sometimes I'll do like, you know, TikTok dance randomly. I mean, they think it's hilarious that you can kind of do one basic dance. And that makes them smile. So the whole point of this is to get the kids to smile. If they're smiling, you have just created the joy factor. So the next one is drama, song, and dance. And that goes similar with the TikTok thing. If you're creative and you want them to do a TikTok of some sort together, they love that. But it's basically incorporating songs, you know, and songs to help students learn rules. We all know like that commercial that just like sticks in our heads because of the jingle. So it's like creating educational jingles. One website, well, it's not really a website, but YouTube is like great for this because there's so many videos and educational songs. And I found that at least for my students, they more connect if it's got like a more funky, like upbeat, or if it's like a rap or something like that, they like it more and remember it. So with them, I like them a lot because they have good cartoons. The content is correct, and it's just like short, sweet, and it gets to the point. So I've actually used some of these in like a Google form where I'll say, okay, watch this video, answer these questions. And that, like, when I would use these, I would get the most assignments back. So Number Rock is a great one. I'm just gonna show you an example from Teach Like a Champion, since I'm using that, of a teacher in her classroom using drama, song, and dance. And I know you might have a little teardrop that falls because she's actually in her classroom. But just let your mind kind of go and think about how you can try to do this in the virtual classroom.
All right, now you're tracking your pledge leader, Miss Kaya Bear Beckles. Loud and proud. Chandler.
Okay, so they said we got the knowledge to go to college. I know that's right. So anyways, that's an example of drama, song, and dance, and just using it as fun. If you just watch how many kids were smiling, that's like the joy factor. Now for me, this is probably one of my favorites, which is humor. I am a corny teacher. I'm the one who's purposely corny. So yes, I love this one. So humor is what you're trying to do is just try to make your students laugh, or at least be like, oh, like Miss Blake, really? But humor just gets the lesson going. And we all know that humor can kind of, if there's like a tense moment, it can kind of like break that tensity, that like tense feeling, or the tension in the room. So I try to use humor a lot, as long as it's just make sure there's a difference between humor and sarcasm. So it just has to have a positivity to it, and just don't take yourself too seriously, especially during these times, as we're all going to run into our internet or Wi-Fi going out or something going wrong with the microphone. And it's just the best thing you do is just make fun of yourself. So also with these jokes, I included a link when you get this presentation. But with it, I included a link to 101 silly math jokes. And actually, a lot of these jokes can be used, and they give you like the subject and all of that. But a lot of these jokes can be used as a teaching tool as well. So on certain days, I would use this picture as a part of an assignment. And it's a joke, but also it has content. Like, this is a circle, that's a triangle. They're saying you're pointless because they have no points. So it's just imperative to just like show the students, just test their knowledge through humor as well. I always get, and this is your chance to figure out or give them riddles. So I also like to give them riddles. So the question doesn't fully show, but it does say, what does 10 plus S equal? So in the chat, I want you to try to figure out, what does 10 plus S equal? See if anyone can get this riddle. Oh, Ann, you're so smart. Ann got it like right away. So I use this all the time. But what does 10S equal? It equals tennis, like the sport, like tennis. Okay. All right, let's move on. So let's go to the next category, which is suspense and surprise. And we know, even if we're thinking about the TV shows we watch, the best TV shows, the best movies are the ones that either have that random plot twist at the end that we didn't plan for, or they just have that element of just like you're on the edge of your seat. And students really do love suspense and surprise. In some ways, it's as simple as just like waiting to reveal an answer to a challenging problem in math and then making them do a drum roll and then giving the answer. Boom. It's like they're just into it. So for this is the first demo of this presentation. So I'm going to get back to this one and start here. There's a website called Ditch the Classroom. Or it's not called Ditch the Classroom. I'm sorry. It's called Ditch That Textbook. And it on this website, it has templates that you can use. These are great tools just in general, but the one that we're going to focus on today is called Four Corners. This is the way I use suspense in my classroom every single day, and I use this also as a way to incorporate my math talk. So when I do this, I'll show the students a problem like this. I'll give them like 1 to 2 minutes to answer it. And in the regular classroom, each corner represents a letter from this multiple choice question. They would move to said letter and then kind of debate amongst each other, like which one is the right one. Virtually, it's pretty much impossible to do this. So that's why I found that's why I choose to use the Four Corners example that I just showed you on this website. Oh, here it is. So what I do is, and you could just click here, you could copy the template, make a copy, and you can send the students a link, and all the students will be in this document all at the same time. So they could either like choose to write their name with the letter they agree with. You can have them do a sticky note with their name and then move that sticky note to where they want it to be, like that. But the point really is for them to learn how to answer this question and go from there. So basically how I do it is I have them all put their name here, A, B, C, or D, and then I'll tell them one of these is wrong. So from there, I'll cross out, is this what part of the expression below should be calculated first? Well, we know the stuff in the brackets and things in parentheses should go first. So anything saying 8 plus 22, excuse me, that would not, you wouldn't do that first. So then I would be like, okay, we know the right answer is not A. And on this Jamboard, I would give them time to like move where they think it is, B, C, or D. And then after that move, then you finally reveal the right answer. And they really get into it. And they're like, it's always that one kid that's in the right corner and they're all by themselves. You are going to have kids that are just going to follow the crowd. But you'd be surprised how many kids, the more you do this, will like stand firm on what they think the correct answer is. Now with these questions, I always do try to make sure it's either a little bit above their grade level or it's something they haven't learned yet. So it's actually like a challenge, because I found that if it was too easy, it just kind of took away the element of surprise and suspense. So now on here, I'm going to show you how to create a branching document. This is basically similar to a choose your own adventure activity. You can do this in Google Forms. So in Google Forms, you could create, like, here's an example. This is probably the most common one, is Journey to be a Mage. And what you do, the students get one initial question, and we've all read the Choose Your Own Adventure books. They were my favorite as a kid. But what they do is they pick one of the two options, and then it's gonna, based off of that, it's gonna take them to two different paths, and then they just keep going through the adventure. So you can, I've included this website here. I included the website that it's on, which is Make Math Not Suck, which I hope would be the case. And on here, it has a lot of these adventures that are just pre-made that you can use. But right now, I'm actually going to show you how to do this yourself. So if you want to learn how to create this, just either try to do it along with me. If you find that I'm going too fast, then what I would suggest is just stay at the end of this session, and I'm more than willing to answer any questions you might have, or just re-demonstrate it for you. So let me just get there. So the first thing we need to do, I just need to go to, you're going to go to your forms. So let's your Google Drive, and then I'm going to go to, sorry, it's taking a little while. Okay, so here's an example of a form that I've already created so you can see it more in a math context. And how I use this with my students is why it's called Be the Teacher is it's kind of, I use it as a diagnostic. So before I even get into multiplying fractions, I'll have them do one of these. So then actually I can know which kids already know how to do this, and then I'll have them do something else. So for this preview, I'm just ignore the answers I'm picking because I'm trying to get to the, so you just put this in. And here's an example of humor that I randomly used, just a random picture of me and my brother when we were little. That's clearly not the answer, but kids like love stuff like that. So I just have to click stuff so I can get to the part I want to show you. And now here's the part where they have to, I'm trying to figure out who knows what to do. So for instance, if a child chooses the first answer right here, that means they just added a cross, which is incorrect. So let's say they chose that. And then what actually ends up happening is it'll tell them, oops, not quite, you got this wrong. Try again. And then it'll say you chose to add vertically across instead of multiplying across. In this problem, what numbers do you need to multiply? And then they just need to click, okay, I need to do 2 times 1, 5 times 9. And then once they click that correctly, they'll go back to the original problem, and that's going to help them to actually get the answer correct. So they click that, and then they got it. So that's an example of a branching form that I actually use in my math classroom. So how you set up a branching form is you're going to go here to Forms and give it a title. So this is my branching demo. And what you do here is, let's say we're just going to do 7 plus 5 equals, don't put the answer. I'm going to be generic because I'm on a time crunch here. But let's say you always know that there's going to be a kid who's going to subtract. There's going to be a kid who's going to be 1 under. Somebody's going to get the right answer. Somebody's going to be 1 over. And you might have a kid that randomly multiplies too. So you can have that as an option if you want. But once you get the first thing is just to get the problem in there. And then from there, you need to add a section. So this is to add a question, but this one is to add a section. So you would click add section, and you have to add a section or else this will not work. So let's say we want our first section to be about the first one. You subtracted and chose 2. Okay, so now the kids, when they accidentally mix up, they'll be like, oh, I subtracted instead of added. And then you're going to add a question under there. So then you can say, what operation is seen in 7 plus 5 equals whatever? And then let's say, is it adding? Is it subtracting? Is it multiplying? And then the last one, is it division? And if the kid randomly picks the wrong answer here, they're just going to be stuck here until they get it correct. But your goal is you want them to click, oh, it's adding. That's my mistake. I subtracted. So now that you have a question for them to branch, you would go to the original question, and you're going to click on these 3 sections. So when you click on these 3, so I'm going to show the 3 dots. You're going to click the 3 dots next to required. And then now you'll be able to go to a section based off the answer. And that's where the branching comes in. So based off of their answer, they'll go different paths. So for this one, I want them, if they choose 2, I want them to go to the you subtracted and chose 2 section. So I'm going to click that. If they get the answer correct, I want them to submit the form because there's nothing more that they need to do. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to show these 2, but you could add another. You could add section 3. You undercounted, and section 4 you overcounted or something of that nature. But we're only going to focus on these two. So now that I have this in here, the form is ready to branch. So I'm going to show you what it will look like. So this is the preview. So let's say the student right away, they know what they're doing. They click 12, they get it right. And now it's just going to automatically go to submit. So then I'll go back. But if the child makes a mistake and accidentally subtracts, instead, they're going to go to that question I just created. And now they can correct their work. Like, what operation is in here? Okay, addition. And then if I didn't add the branching, so that was I didn't get to that point. But when you go to this question, you're gonna have to add. Let me see. If they click add, you're gonna have to add the section for them to go back. So if you don't do that, they'll just be like stuck there. So it's always important to go back. So let me re-demo it for you so you can see how it really should go. So if a kid clicks 2, they get it wrong, they're gonna go here. And then what operation is seen? Okay, I should have added, and now it's going to take them back to the original question for them to correct their work. And now they'll probably click 12, and boom, they're like done. That's like a branching activity that sometimes brings a lot of surprise, because kids just it makes them feel more independent and that they're learning on their own. You already know that you are going to have kids who are just going to keep clicking until they get it right. But with Google Forms, if you have used this, there's always this option here for responses. And when you click responses, you can always click create a spreadsheet. And when you click create a spreadsheet, it's going to show you all the different places that child went. So there's no way for the only way you wouldn't know is if, like, for instance, on my form, I didn't put a name slot. So it's always pretty important to put that name so you know which kid is just like constantly going all over the place. But once you do that, you can keep track of what they're doing. And I would show them this, like, hey, I see you did this, like, go back and do it right. So they don't really get away with it. Oh.
Can we hop into 2 quick questions?
Oh, 2 questions, sure.
One, if you make a Google form a quiz, can you still use branching?
You can use branching on a quiz as well. Yes.
Okay. Then a quick question: how did you link branch to option? Did you click on choice then add section?
Let me see. Could you ask that one more time?
Sure. How did you link branch to option? Click on choice then add section.
Oh, so the branch. Let me go here. The original. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay, cool. So to branch it off, the first thing you have to do is create the initial question that they always come back to. And then at the bottom, then you create the section. Because if you click these 3 dots before you have a section, this won't even be there. So you have to create the sections first. And if you, like, let's say if you're doing a quiz or something, if you notice right here, because the more you do this, your Google Forms going to get huge. So you can always, I just wanted to show you, you can always click this arrow down and skip to particular sections as well, just to help yourself. But what you need to do is create the section. And then once you have that section, then you'll be able to have the answers branch out. But each section is based off of an answer. So in order for this quiz or this form to be correct, I would need to have a section for this option, a section for this option, a section for this option, and a section for this one. If you don't do that, then if a kid gets it wrong, they're just still going to be able to submit it, and they're not going to keep coming back. I'm uncertain if I answered that question, but if I didn't, can you just stay on to the end, and I'll definitely be able to go into this a lot further. How do you create the sections? So you create the sections by clicking on the equal sign. So you would just click equal here, and then when you click that, you'll have a new section. And so let's say if I'm trying to make a section for this 11 here, I'm going to put, okay, you chose 11. recount or something like that. I don't know. And then you just have to come up with your own question of some sort that makes them review. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but you could rephrase the question, like if you have 7 pieces of candy and your friend gives you 5, how many do you have? And sometimes that helps kids to like randomly visualize, and then you could like have them redo that question. And then I would suggest still making them, so if you look here, now I have a third option to send them to. So I have section 1, section 2, section 3. And so I'm not certain if I answered that, but I'll definitely come back to it if anybody needs me to do more with that. So let's get to the teacher resources. We're almost at the end of our session. Thank you for all the questions. I'm here to help. So let's get to that so we can get done. So with the Google Forms, one great thing that I like is Timeify, because we all know with quizzes in a regular classroom, typically maybe for me, I might give 30 to 45 minutes, like that's it. And I have a timer up in front of the class, but when you're doing it virtually, it's kind of like the kids just have as much time as they want. So what Timeify does is it adds a timer to your Google form. And so you can make the form to like close after 30 minutes. If you get this Timeify extension. Desmos was a great thing for math because it allows you and your students to create interactive graphs. And if you're a higher level teacher, it has a lot of graphing calculator tools on there. The students actually really like this. So all you have to do, they just get a class code, and then they all will be on the graph together. They also have, they have a graphing calculator, scientific, and then they have geometry tools. They also have really cool challenges that you can encourage your kids to participate in for fun. So they like this website a lot. Toy Theater is a fun website that I like to use because it has manipulatives that students can interact with if they're trying, because in your regular classroom, you probably had actual clocks. But since we're not in our classroom, I feel like this is it's not a full substitute, but it helps. Also, I just forgot to show this feature that I like. On Toy Theater, they have these here, but if you scroll down, they have timers. And if you scroll down, here's where the virtual manipulatives are. So me, we use fraction strips all the time. When I was a kid, I loved geo boards. They still love those. They have a classroom timer. They have spinners. Like this is all the stuff that was in my classroom. And then for instance, with the marble jar, you could teach probability or just teach kids to count. I want you to put 3 red in, 1 yellow, and it's a great tool. And if you're trying to see the student screens, because I know that's an issue, I would recommend, if you want to see that all the kids are at Toy Theater and they're all doing what you just told them to do, I would suggest use GoGuardian because that's the easiest way for you to see every child's screen all at once and monitor what they're doing. I had a Cami is a tool where you can write PDFs, and whiteboard Wi-Fi is great. It's in math. I use a lot of whiteboards, and this still allows every single student has a whiteboard. You see every child's whiteboard, and the students will see each other's whiteboards. So they like it, and it's a really good interactive thing to do. Math games, my son who's about to go into kindergarten, he uses this a lot. So if you're an early childhood teacher, I found these were really good, and they do have different grade levels. But the kindergarten skills this was the best website that I found that he actually learned something, and he's able to play it without me monitoring him a lot. And then Pear Deck, that's a tool where you can add on to a Google slide and make it interactive. Kids can GoGuardian does work remotely. I think I just saw that question. Yep, GoGuardian does work remotely. All you have to do is add your students in. The only caveat with GoGuardian is that if they don't log in using their CPS emails, then they appear as offline and you can't see their screen. So that was the only thing I really didn't like about GoGuardian, but there's ways around that as well. So for me, I just plan on saying to my students when we start, I'm checking GoGuardian. If your screen shows up offline, I know you're not logged in correctly, and I'm just gonna assume you're not doing the work like you're supposed to. It is supported by CPS. I use it at my school, even when we're in our regular class sessions. So here's a reference again, Teach Like a Champion. It's a great book. Also in the reference, in the chat, Coley's gonna put grab and go for you that just kind of summarizes the joy factor. So if you just need a quick thing to look at, you'll find that there. And we're wrapping it up right now. So if you're somebody, if you want your ISB credit, it's important that you go into SCED, click on My Session, and fill out the evaluation form. Within the evaluation form, it's important for you to post either a comment or a question or something that you learned within here, and that's how you'll receive your ISB credit. If you have any more questions about technology, or if your credit went in, Coley's gonna put in the chat Ron and Melissa's email, and you could email them any questions that you might have as well. I hope, since this is called the Joy Factor, that you're gonna click the smile. But hey, do what you do. But the goal is for you to smile. Let's move on. So let's go. I just want to say thank you. Thank you again. Thank you for spending a Friday afternoon that's sunny with me. And also thank you for being here. And I just want to give you some encouraging words. I know it's tough. It's challenging. But teachers, we're very resilient, and you can do this. And I believe in you. We're going to make this. We're going to do this together. We got this. So now it's time for questions. If you don't have any questions, have a great weekend. You can leave. If you have questions, please stay on and we'll answer them for about 30 minutes.
So first off,
Okay, so then.
Oh, somebody has a question.
I have a quick question. In the when you're linking, what's it called? The questions to one another in that Google document. Can you insert a video?
You can insert a video. So how you would do the video? That's a good idea as well. But you could, let's say they got it wrong and you want to put a short video teaching them how to add. You would just go here where it looks like a play button, and you would click add video, and maybe we put a video about adding. And then you just click one. That one's really about adding and subtracting, but you click that, select, and the video will, the only reason it's not up here is because I already created that question, but the video will come up, and you can, usually how it works is the video, the video will pop up, and then the questions that you want to go with the video, you could just click this plus here, and then the question option will be here. So it's like, here's the video, and then I want you to answer this question after you watch the video. So yes, you definitely can.
What I was thinking in the one question that you linked, where you gave them a real life problem to help them solve that addition problem, instead of the real life problem, could you show, for instance, 7 pieces of candy and someone else giving the friend 5 pieces of candy instead of asking them?
That's a great idea. That's why you're the teacher. That's a brilliant idea. I think it would be very effective.
Okay, so
somebody else's. I'm sorry. We had 2 people talking. Go ahead.
All right, so the link that you sent for the Google copy, it said access denied.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. Does it give the option for you to request it, or it's just like you can't get it at all?
No, it said when I hit the request button, it said access denied.
Okay, well, we'll definitely put a link to this in our session, and then just give me about 30 seconds, and Cole, you have access to the.
I do. Did you log in to this session with your CPS address, or do you on your personal?
If you were asking me if I'm logged in with my CPS, I am.
Okay. All right, then I will go in and make it accessible. If it's not, while Joey's answering.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get that to you ASAP. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, we had a couple.
I had a quick question. When you were making the Choose Your Own Adventure, how did you link the section to say option A? Was there a specific way to do that?
Yeah, so how I did it is in the original question where they all start out at, when you click on it, you're going to have to click these 3 dots right here. And then once you click the 3 dots, then it'll be like you have to turn it on. So once you click here, you'll turn on, go to see how I unclicked it and now it's gone. Yeah. But if I click on it, it's there, and now you can direct them like to which section. Oh, you chose this, I want you to go here. You chose 11, I want you to go here and watch that video about adding. You actually got it right, so I just want you to submit, and then I didn't create a section for this person yet.
So you make the sections first and then link them to the options.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Any more questions?
When you're branching, obviously a quiz or even any kind of interactive sheet like that, there'll be more than one question. So I'm assuming then you can have, if the answer is right, then you go to the next question, which would be another section, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Thank you.
No problem. Are there any more questions?
I kind of wanted to know a little bit more about the GoGuardian.
Okay, I'm ready. Go for it.
I was unfamiliar with it. Like, where do you get it from?
Oh, sure. Okay, so GoGuardian. Now I believe for GoGuardian, you just go to goguardian.com. But from what I recall, my school gave me the access to it. It wasn't just. I don't know if every teacher in CPS has it, but I know at my school I used it. And basically what happens is, I don't have any classrooms right now because we haven't, but you can import your Google Classroom. And then when you import your classroom, all the students' emails will automatically be in here. So that's why they can only use their CPS email. And then what you would do is you can create, it's different things you can do. So for instance, you can create scenes. So when you make a scene, that means on every single kid's screen, all they'll be able to see is Stride. Or then if you make a scene and you want them only to be on Khan, you can turn this scene on and every single kid the only thing they'll be able to go to is Khan. So it kind of gives you a little bit more control. If you don't want kids trying to sneak out of your Google Meet or going to other random spots, you can turn while you're in the Google Meet, you could create a scene where the only thing they can be, the only place they can go to is Google Meet. And then this is a great tool because you'll be able to, they send you a student report as well. So even when you're not in class sessions, you'll see that Malik watches Netflix literally for 8 hours every day or something like that. It will continue to monitor what they do on their computer. And then also you'll be able to see which kids, usually if a kid tries to go to another window or another tab, that's when you'll know who's constantly leaving your Google Meet, because they'll say, oh, my computer doesn't work, or something's wrong with my computer. But really the truth is that they're trying to not be in the Google Meet. So GoGuardian, I wish I had my classrooms because then I really could show you a little bit more. But it's just a way. And then also when you're in a session, a GoGuardian session, you can there's a chat option. So you can see, like right here, how it's blank. It would actually be every single individual kid's like screen, but it'll just be a mini version of it. But you can see what they're doing. You can see where they click, and then you can chat with them. So you can say like, Malik, get back to Stride, and they're going to get the message on their computer.
And then
Thank you.
Oh,
for
no
those
problem.
of you who are monitoring the chat, we have Ron Carroll in our meeting. And so he says if you don't have GoGuardian, you can email goguardian@cps.edu for access. And every student has it. You just may need to access their teacher account. But please note it only works on the Chromebooks.
Yep. Hi, friends. It is goguardian@cps.edu is the email address for the team that runs it. Used to be me. I love GoGuardian, and reach out to me, rcarroll2@cps.edu. I'm happy to talk about it. But to get it set up for your school, goguardian@cps.edu.
Awesome. Thank you, Ron.
And then just as a follow-up, people are asking, Ron, do you need parent permission to use GoGuardian?
It is a district provided and managed application. So just by being a part of Chicago Public Schools, they are taken over. It's one of those things. It's part of the network team's stuff. So there is no illusion of privacy with CPS accounts and students.
Well, Ron, I'm so glad you're here because I have a side question too about GoGuardian. I know it took it a little off the topic, but I was just curious as well. Is there a feature now where students are required to sign in using their CPS email? Because if that was a feature, that would eliminate a lot of them like trying to go offline and do other stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if they're on a CPS device, the only account they can sign in with is their CPS. There are a couple of hacks students have found to get around that, but we close them whenever we can find them. But if they're on a personal device, it's hard to convince them to sign into their CPS accounts.
So too, if they're on their own like laptop, then
Yep.
Okay. Oh, well.
So they have to sign into their CPS account via what? Via GoGuardian? You pull GoGuardian up and they sign in? Is that how it works?
No, it all happens. It's all tied to their account. So it travels with them wherever they are in the world. As long as they're using that account, GoGuardian is watching.
So if they join the class for our Google Meets, then they're automatically on it if we have that as part of our curriculum in our school?
Yeah, you could set it up that way for sure. Again, the one caveat is it only works on Chromebooks.
Okay, and then
So if they're at home on a PC or an iPad, you're blind to it.
Okay, which is a problem because a lot of them will have their own. So if they have their own, what do they do to get in on it? When we can be creative and incentives to get them to do it, but is there a way if they have their own computer that how do we get them into it?
They just have to be on a Chromebook and signed into their CPS account, and then it's all there.
Okay,
Yeah,
and so,
it's actually already on every student account. Has been for about 4 years now.
really? Okay, and so when the teacher pulls it up and signs in, then as Joy said, we can actually see the little mini computers and see what they're on?
Correct.
You certainly can.
Okay.
During your classroom session, you can't sneak in and look at them at night.
Oh, yeah, I don't want
for very obvious security reasons. But
Yeah.
during your classroom session, you have actually pretty close to full total control over their devices.
Yeah.
Like you can shut tabs, you can blink their screens.
You can
It's a
freeze
lot of fun.
them. Yeah.
That's awesome. Can you tell when they're not sitting at their computer?
Now
That's a whole other thing.
They were very savvy at logging in and then they walked away. So when we went to call on them a few times, we realized they were no longer sitting at their computer.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen that.
So,
Okay, thank you so much. It's an awesome program. Thank you, Joy. This was a wonderful presentation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joy.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Ron.
Sorry.
if the teacher makes a G Meet on the G class, then they have to be on their CPS account, or if they're on their personal computer, that's their workaround.
In order to get into Classroom or Meet, they do have to be on their CPS account. And so then GoGuardian would come into play.
Gotcha.
Are there any other questions or?
There was a question earlier in the presentation, not related to GoGuardian.
Oh, sure.
Somebody asking, is Timify part of Branch?
Timify?
Timify, I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. It's just like a website. You go to it and then you can, I think, are they asking, can you use Timify while doing a branching activity? Is that the question?
Yeah, Colette, I'm sorry. Colette asked that question. I'm not sure if she hopped off or not.
I forgot the
It was a
question.
question.
What was the question that I asked?
The question is Timify part of Branch?
How to do what? I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Sorry, is Timify part of Branch?
I know I had a question about how to, if you put a video on Branch. I don't remember what the second question that I wrote down for Branch is. Let me scroll and see if I can find it.
Cool. Probably, and if you're trying to make a branching activity and you want to add the timer, you would just use Timify, and it still will work with any type of Google form. Timify will add that timer in there for you. It doesn't have to be a quiz or anything.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That was my question. Is that a feature? Because you said it was something that's an add-on. Is that a feature of it, or something that you have to log in and connect it?
Basically, like if I show you on the screen, if I go, you have to just like create an account on timifyme.com, and then once you create the form, you either can upload a form that you've already used, or they'll just have you like do it right here and there, and then that's when you'll add the timer to it. And then when the child logs in, this picture is, wait, let me see if I can find a picture. When the child, oh, it won't let me, but when the child logs in, instead of it just being like a form that looks like this, like when they log in, it'll be like an additional timer down here that will time them as they're going. So they constantly know like, oh, I only got 7 minutes left. I better wrap it up. Oh, no problem. Are there any other questions? We probably have, I lost track of when we started, but.
We started at 1:30.
No, I meant like how much time for questions we have. Can you add audio of you reading the words in the branch? Unfortunately, that's a really good question. That would be a great feature to add in. Unfortunately, the only way you cannot just add audio like you can do with a slide, because with Google Slides, if people weren't aware, there's an option here to insert audio, so you can insert yourself like reading the words and stuff. Just a side tip. But on Google Forms, that's not an option yet. So if you're trying to do that, you can use Screencastify or Loom. Those are two good teacher-friendly like screen recording programs, and you would just have to record yourself, make a video of yourself reading it, and then insert it into your document. Because if you insert a video, oh, you know, I think in order to put your own personal video, you would have to, let me see, I need to add a question to see. You would have to go here, and this is where you can upload like a video from your computer or Google Drive into a form. So I hope I answered that question. Are there any more questions? What can you do with Kami website? Okay.
And there's a question on whether or not Kami is free.
Kami is not free, and it just makes my heart literally hurt. No, Kami is not free. This is the only reason I show Kami. Not most of the stuff is free because I'm super cheap. But Kami, why is my husband shaking his head? But yeah, I'm cheap. So Kami is the only one that if you do have to spend money on it, I would suggest, because it's like really helpful. Or I tried to ask my principal already to get it on the computer, because not only can you use it as a teacher, but the students are able to use it on any assignment you give. So let me see if I can find one that I did. in the, well, that's not probably appropriate. Dang. Let's see if I have any more. They're all gone. Yeah, like this is for like a personal document, but you can use Cami to sign forms. You can, I'm trying to think if I could show an example. Let's see. It says you can create a classroom assignment. Okay, let's see what happens. If let's say this is like a worksheet, because basically what Cami is great for is if you find a really cool worksheet online and you want to teach the kids live using the pre-made worksheet, you can use Cami because you can like write on here. You can enter in equations and things of that nature. You can enter in text and type. So for me, I use Cami if I found like a really great worksheet that I really wanted to use, that we can't print it off, and I would use this kind of during either independent work or during like the We Do section of the lesson, because we would just be like completing the problems together, but I would do it live. But my trial ends in 46 days, not that I'm counting, but yeah, it's not free.
You could upload a PDF worksheet and then it can be transformed into an interactive one?
Correct. And you can assign it, like if you get Cami, you can assign that same PDF to your students in Google Classroom, and they can write on it using these tools, and then they can turn it in.
So you don't have to do anything from scratch. If I find something online, I can upload it and then send it to Google Classrooms, and then the next day we can all have it pulled up and start doing it together as a We Do.
Correctamundo. Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Somebody asked if I can demo it, so let me see if I can find. I think that was Miss Didia. Okay. Fraction PDF worksheet. Okay, let me see. So let's go here. Okay, let's open this. So I have the PDF, it's here, and it's taking a little long time to load, but it's slowly coming. Or it's just not. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so here's a PDF. Now, because my trial is almost over, sadly, right? What will happen when you actually own it is it'll be a little icon right here with a K, and then you'll just literally click on that, and you'll be taken to this form. But I'm going to show you how to do it. So show you how to do it. So for instance, I'm going to download this and give it that name, save. And now I'm going to go to Cami, and I'm going to go to my teacher. Close this one out. Too many tabs. Sign in. And then open from computer. So I'm going to go to my downloads. It was fraction 1 right there. I'm going to open that up. And now it's going to open in Cami. And now let's say with the kids, now I could either choose to write. So 1/4 plus 1/4 is, and the only sucky part is if you're not that great with the mouse, but believe it or not, you get better and better the more you do it. So, and then see how it's giving me the option to save it to Drive. So it's right away, it's going to allow you to save it to Drive. And then you could either, like, let's say if you run out of time in class, you could save it to Drive and pull it up like the next day and finish it. And then like, so you could, it's just a matter of being able to write with the mouse, but you'll be surprised. Like you eventually get like better and better and better. And then too, if you're annoyed by using the mouse, you can always also just like type. So you could put a 3 here, and then you can type another one. You could put a 6, and then you go here. And then this is like the type of stuff I would do because I got annoyed. See, that's 3, 6. And you can also like change the size of it, all of that. It was awesome. I really like this a lot. Are there any other questions?
I'm sorry, could you just, by pointing up at the top, tell me how you uploaded the sheet. My internet froze up on me at the time that you were doing that.
Oh, sure. So here's the worksheet that when I got the worksheet from the internet, and then wait, I'm sorry. You're asking how I got it into Kami, right?
Correct. I saw how you downloaded it, and then my Comcast stream froze up.
Okay, no worries. So basically, I was in my teacher account. See, now they're trying to sell it to me, so I don't know. Oh, so sad. So then you'll right when you create an account, you'll have these three options. It'll be open from your drive, open from your computer. I want to open from computer, or you can automatically create a Google Classroom assignment. And when you well, it's not going to work for me because I don't have any classes. But if you have classes, you can right away put that PDF in your class. But I went here, open from computer. I found the name of it in my computer, and then I just opened it up, and it'll open up for you like that. And see how Kami saved what I did already. So that's why it's really nice.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem.
So Joy, if you want the kids to do this workshop, like you're assigning it to Google Classroom, and say we are able to have the kids with the Kami extension on their end, how do you guarantee that they'll be able to write on it in the same way that you did?
Okay,
as long as they have. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, that was a really good question. When you pay or when you have it like the full version, when you go to your classroom, whenever let me go to, I'll show my classroom. It might still be there, but when you go to the classroom and you can create an assignment within your classroom, it's gonna say it's gonna give you the option. So when you go to create, well, mine is gone, but instead it'll be like assignment, quiz assignment, and then it'll be a third one, and it'll say Kami assignment.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So when you actually they're slowly just taking everything away from me. But when you actually have it like under quiz assignment will be a third option, which will say Kami assignment, and it'll automatically be like a Kami assignment.
How did you have it Kami assignment? Did your students have the extension?
Well, it's not. Yeah, the students had to have the extension downloaded. That was the one issue I also ran into because CPS didn't allow students to download extensions on their Chromebooks, but I think they had the option to do that in the fall. So what you have to do is like a two-way street. You will have to get it on your computer, and then once you do, then you'll have the option in your classroom, and then you will have to, all your students would have to go to the Chrome. If you go to the Chrome web store, yeah, they will have to get it. But I forced them to do it in small groups because that's a quick, easy way to show that they did it, and it doesn't lead to like a barrage of questions. So we just did it in small group, and they all tried to put it on there, and that's when I realized like, oh, they're blocked. But I think in the fall they won't be.
Can this be done on any device? Is the question you got out there?
It can be done on any device.
Is Ron still on this call?
Is Ron?
I am. Yeah,
So
students should be able to
Kami?
do. Yeah, students can add Kami now since it's fully approved. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to buy it. I wish I had money in my budget because it is such a cool thing. But yeah, students can now add the Kami extension.
So, but it would only be the teacher that would have to purchase it, correct?
I have no idea. I don't know how Kami.
I'm uncertain as well, but I believe that's how it works because there's no way they would make. I don't know for sure myself because I didn't get to the point where I didn't get that far. So I was only able to use it for myself because the kids, I wasn't able to get the kids to download it. So I don't know, but I mean they're pretty responsive. If you send an email or like a question to them, they respond like really quick.
What it said, if you have a teacher membership, it says one teacher can have up to 150 students.
Wow. So
all right.
resourceful. Thank you.
Go.
Boom. That was awesome. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, whoever answered that question.
But we're probably
Joy, do you know how much the membership is, just out of curiosity?
I do not, because I purposely
$99.
ooh.
Okay.
It might be worth it if you're somebody who uses if you're like somebody who uses a lot of worksheets, kind of like I sometimes do. I definitely tried to make that free membership go as long as I could, but it might kind of help. I don't know if it'll be. I don't know. And for me, I plan on if they're still doing the 250 that reimbursement thing. I plan on using that to buy this. And then I would just have them like reimburse me. I don't know if they still do that, or they're going to do that or not. But that was my plan. Okay. Well, I think we're going to wrap up. It's about 2:45. So are there any more questions that you have, Coley, or?
There is not. Okay,
no problem, Colette. Have a great weekend. Thank you, everybody that stayed on. Thank you, Ron, for all your for jumping in.
No problem. Thank you. This was a great session. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Have a great weekend. No problem. Thank you, Tracy. Let me see if I can close this. Thank you. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. Have a great weekend. All right. All right. Okay. Hang on.